Hi guys, Piotr here. This is LiteFinance Global YouTube channel and it's my pleasure to be with you again. What we are going to discuss today? Well, we are going to discuss the big bang strategy. There is a plenty of different views how the big banks are trading. But to be honest with you, as long as you don't have any family member or a very good friend trading for a big bank, then most likely it's gonna be like some kind of the guesses based on the chart. And well, the one meeting, it might not be enough to try to explain the things, so I'm pretty sure we are going to get back into that discussion. Highly appreciate your comments when you are going to watch the video. Appreciate your inputs. That's gonna be very interesting. Well, the thing is that because we are retail traders, we have to somehow to try to recognize how the big banks are trading. And again, there are plenty of different schools trying to explain the big bank's strategy. What I'm going to try to show you today is going to be one of the easiest way to try to recognize what the big guys are doing. What we have to be aware of is or are the things we are discussing quite a few times. So, for example, if we have an uptrend, right, we usually are making higher high and higher lows, and as long as this structure holds, right, we should look for the long setup. And opposite, once we are going to break the structure, right, then we are looking for the opposite trade. We are looking for the short position. That's the point number one, which is going to be very important here. Now, what we have to remember also, once we can recognize the structure, it's very smart thing to try to use the biggest waves of the rally to try to expect how big bounce could be when the structure, the rising structure, been broken, right? So for example, in that case, we are looking for the biggest wave of this rally, and then we are looking after the move has changed. We are looking for this type of the rally, right? The size of the latest rally, trying to use when we have changed the direction to try to expect the rally, the bounce, whatever we wanna call it, right? So that's the two most important things, and that's gonna help you to avoid I would call it stupid trades. Hopefully you are not gonna be upset here. Anyway, well, what is important? The thing is that in case to try to think the way the big guys are thinking is at least either 3 falling days or 3 rising days. Okay, in that case depends what was before we have changed the structure, right? What has happened, what kind of the development we've seen, and that's what we are talking here. It is related to the big time frame like the weekly or daily chart. Then we are switching lower to the 1 hour chart for the setup, and 1 minute chart, 3 minute chart, 10 minute chart for the execution. As I mentioned, today I'm going to give you the hints, I'm going to give you the basic stuff. As you know, I'm trading without any kind of the indicator, but I'm going to tell you how you may want to try to filter this type of the setups, all right? So we are going to start to watch the daily chart, and let's, at the very beginning, let's have a look what we have right over here, what we have when it comes to the daily chart of the euro dollar. So in that case, we are taking into the consideration the latest move to the downside, right? In that case, we broke the latest structure from here. So what we are going to do is to place some kind of the line swing high around these levels. So we have the possible supply zone, but then we went further down, all right? So it was the lower high and lower low. So we are going to prepare ourselves for this and the possible swing high. So we do have another possible supply, right? Then what we are going to look for is another broken structure. We went lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, etc., right? So we can place another supply, as you can see here, 3 days to the downside. So we can place some kind of the line around here. And once we were moving lower, there was just 2 days, so it wasn't the correct setup for us. And another 2 days to the downside, and it was not great setup for us, right? Then there was the better, as we made lower low from here, okay? So let's make the setup here, trying to consider the swing high over here, and oops, sorry, and over here. Of course, it's going to be the challenge for me here to switch to the 1 minute chart going back by a few days, but as you can see, we've seen some kind of the rejection very close to that level, this long upper shadow. So going lower to 1 hour chart, let's try to do that, this example over here, and let's switch maybe not to 1 hour but to 4 hour chart. Right, that was this kind of the setup. And we've seen that that was the challenge over here. So once we've seen that the big guys were looking for a stop hunt, right, above this, this, and this, with the upper shadow over here, okay, that's what we would look for on a smaller time frame to retest that zone and to try to go short, and we were looking for the at least 3R possible target. All right, let's try to switch lower to the 1 hour chart, as we might still see some kind of the supply. And there you go, we do have, based on that stop count over here, based on that highs here, 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 and here, swing high over here, that we know that there was a possible short trade. So even based on this 1 hour chart, all right, based on this rejection over here, okay, we've had a zone like this to try to trade with the stop above. So I'm going to place this one, that would be 1 pip above, that would be our stop, and trying to trade 3R from here, from that particular zone to the downside. All right, in that case, the first target would be filled. Of course, you have to do your own research, you have to do your own homework, right, and try to check if this type of the approach is suitable for you. I would like to switch to the cable because we've seen very similar setups over here, right? So in that case, we were looking for the daily chart, we were looking for some kind of the break structure. So here was the big one. There was an attempt to rally, right? And taking into the consideration, as I mentioned before, size of the possible correction, right? So look guys, it's not a miracle, it's just the homework you have to do, all right? Just the homework you have to do. So after the big break to the downside, what we were looking for? We were looking for the latest biggest rally as the possible correction of after the structure being broken. And there you go. There you go. So that was the rally. That was the rally. That's the previous high, and after the structure being broken, we had all the puzzles in place. So we were switching lower to the 1 hour chart. We are looking for some kind of the developments and setups, and then execution, for example, on 1, 3, or 10 minute chart, and that was the big trade to the downside. Okay, that was really the big trade to the downside. Okay, it was very similar here, because from here we've seen 4 days to the downside, and if we are going to break down this one, right here, and then if we are going to look for the trading opportunity here and here, let's switch lower to 1 hour chart. As you can see, we've seen our retest, and that's what we are taking into the consideration, right? That was the zone, and if we are going to make the measure, taking into the consideration this low over here, we've seen this 3R trade. So guys, do your own homework. We are going to get back into that discussion about the big bank strategy. Please leave the comment below, and I'm gonna be more than happy to explain in more details. As I mentioned before, we are going to get back into that very shortly. With that being said, wish you great next trading day and see you around. Take care and goodbye.